Hi there, this is your friend Anna, and the question that I've been getting the most from all of my friends is, what are we wearing? This age-old question isn't just about choosing an outfit, it's about choosing how we present ourselves to the world. I created the I Want Her Shoes podcast to dive deep into what it means to dress with intention, whether you're heading to a council meeting or just having a casual day out with your family. Join the conversation as we explore the power of personal style and the decisions that shape our public personas. Put on your favorite pair of shoes and step into my closet. Welcome back to the I Want Her Shoes podcast, where we sit down with powerhouse women redefining success on their own terms, one bold step at a time. I'm your host, Anna Annison, and today's guest is a mama on a mission to make motherhood real again. Meet Nicole Kaplan, the unfiltered voice behind the viral Life's a Mom podcast, and the founder of Mom Dates and Playdates, a community-first brand giving moms real connection beyond the playground, which is really amazing. And Nicole doesn't just sugarcoat it, she speaks it just like it is, raw, whispered parts of motherhood most of us don't want to really post about, and that's really amazing that you're doing that. From postpartum identity to just raising children, she brings honesty, compassion, and so much courage to her amazing journey, and now to ours. And in this episode, we'll talk about motherhood as truth-telling revolution, the identity shift that nobody really warns you about that comes with motherhood, and building your own village when it doesn't show up for you. And I know all about that because I don't have any village here either, so, you know. And why sharing your story is never oversharing, and how Nicole found her voice and helped thousands of women do the same. So let's get into realness, the resilience, and the radical joy that makes up modern motherhood. Nicole, you say Life's a Mom is a podcast for what moms whisper about. What was the whisper that made you really speak up?
Honestly, for me, it was the moms that felt ashamed to talk about some of the things that they were going through. And we feel like when we become a mom, we have to minimize ourselves. And I want to change that narrative, because just because we're moms doesn't mean we have to be in sweatpants all day and just keep quiet to keep the peace. No, we're allowed to live our lives and continue.
That's beautiful.
You know?
I think that's an amazing message, and I agree with you 1,000%. And before we really dive in, tell me a little bit about yourself, your roots, and how did you end up in this South Florida?
So I am a native Floridian.
Amazing.
My husband would say otherwise because I moved to New York when I met him. But I was born and raised in Florida. And so I do have a lot of childhood traumas. And so that came up after having children, you know, because sometimes I would look at my children and I would ask myself, how is it that my parents were able to do A, B, and C, you know, and I could never do something like that? So I think it triggered a lot afterwards. And so I didn't even realize that I had postpartum anxiety. And because of that, it led into depression. And I remember telling my husband, like, you know, honey, I feel like I might be depressed. And he's like, well, babe, don't be. It's all in the head. And I'm like, no. I can't tell my hormones, and, you know. So I was like, I need community.
Right.
So I started this podcast to change the silence and also this community to bring moms together, because we need it.
Amazing. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And let's talk more about this, you know, because so many women lose parts of themselves in motherhood. What part of you did you fight hardest to hold on to, I guess, when you became a mom?
I would probably say my voice. My voice, meaning I felt like because when I first became a mom, I need to make sure everyone else's needs are met and I'm last. But then I realized, no. Why? Because I became a mom? That's not the way things should be. So that's why I think it's so important for moms to speak up. And
and I feel like your voice should become louder when you become a mom versus the other way around.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
And what is one misconception about motherhood that you've personally had to unlearn?
This is a big one for me. It's that struggling doesn't mean that you're failing. becoming a mom is something so big, and we don't talk about it so much. And when we have children, they're not born with the book of how to be a parent. And so I believe that, I used to believe that just because I have support and a loving husband and a community, that I shouldn't be struggling, I shouldn't be complaining. But you know what? Two things can be true. You could struggle and be grateful at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So maybe we could dive in a little bit more into that. Can you tell, how do you see that?
Yeah, so I remember I would used to say to my mom, because I felt like to my mom I was able to say everything to without judgment, but I would say to her, like, Mom, I feel like I'm drowning. And she's like, Nicole, why? You have a chef, you have a cleaner, you have a full-time nanny. And and I used to feel guilty for feeling that I'm struggling. So I would tell myself, you're right, I shouldn't complain. But after going to therapy, I learned that it's okay to say, hey, you know what? I have all this and I'm struggling. Every journey looks different for different moms, for different people, And so there's never any shame in that. And that's what I've learned. Like, I will speak up and I will say that I'm struggling, but I'm also very grateful for the things that I have.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, well, for me, I don't know if this answers your question, but I was looking for real connection. That's what it started. And your question was, how do I balance everything? So I balance it by taking time for myself and organizing things in a way where I check my calendar and I say, okay, today was a busy day. Tomorrow I'm going to take it easy. And I don't tell myself or beat myself up if things don't go a certain way, because we plan and the universe laughs. And I live by that. When things don't go a certain way, I say, you know what? It's not the end of the world. And I know sometimes it's hard to have that mindset, especially I'm a Virgo. I don't know if you know in horoscopes. I'm a perfectionist. And so I used to be very upset when things didn't go my way. But being a mom teaches you no.
And perfection is okay.
Yes, no, it is.
It's life, right?
Yes, I love it. But also it's okay if things don't go a certain way. And so I want to be an example for my children to show them that as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you've had so many different guests on your podcast. What have your guests taught you about what women really need right now, kind of in the, after COVID and after, just kind of like where we are in our society right now?
Yeah, I think we need to feel heard. We need to be seen. We don't need more advice, because I have, at least for me, since becoming a mom, so many people have given me unsolicited advice that I did not ask for, and I appreciate it. But as a mom, it would make me feel like I'm not doing things correctly. And sometimes I just needed someone to say, I feel you. I understand you. You're going through a hard time right now. And that's what I've learned through talking to so many of my guests who are moms. That's something they need. They need to feel seen. They don't need the extra advice.
No, that's a great answer, and I agree with you really deeply too. And you're really rooted deeply into your identity as a mom, but also you're a woman and a very stylish one. How do you hold both at the same time? And maybe you could talk about also how has your style evolved too, like as through motherhood too, and adjusting with everything.
Yeah, so I've always loved style, especially once moving to New York. It definitely changed a lot. But after becoming a mom, I found myself in sweats, and I'm like, no. I enjoy to get dressed up. I enjoy to buy nice shoes, and I'm not going to stop it. I'm not going to stop that because I'm a mom. On the contrary, I want to be that mom. There's like the it girl, I'm the it mom. Then I told myself, like, I'm not going to stop being who I am. I found myself, but in a different version, which is really nice. And to answer, how I balance everything and how I hold everything perfectly, I don't hold everything perfectly. Some days I'm more of a mom, and some days I'm more of that stylish woman where I'm walking around in Boca Raton Mall in my heels and just shopping the day away. And some days I'm at home and I'm singing Elmo songs to my kids.
Hey, it's awesome that you could be both, and I think everybody should be both, right? Yeah. You don't really need to be just a mom or just something, right? You can have different identities.
Yeah, it makes it fun, too.
Yeah, exactly. And is there something that stands out that another mom said on your podcast that you never forget? Is there some advice maybe, or maybe even a few things that maybe you've heard that really kind of resonate that you want to share with our community?
Yeah, so there was one time a mom came on my podcast, therapist, and she was like, Nicole, I lost myself and I don't know how to find myself again. And that struck me because in that instant, I knew that feeling. And till today, I remember her and I check in on her. And she, after our conversation, I explained to her what I went through. And that's the beauty of communication, is when you don't try to show like everything is perfect and you open up about the realness, because nobody's life is perfect, right?
Of course not.
Right. So I think that's something that struck me, and giving her my version of how I've healed helped her. And I will never forget that till today.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
that. And how do you really balance being honest without feeling like you have to share everything on the podcast? Because I feel like, again, we can't, sometimes there's some things that you should not share. And how do we do that?
Right. No, that is an amazing question. So for me, I've learned that boundaries are part of honesty. And so I share from a place of intention, not impulse. And I used to be very impulsive, so it took time to get here. And just because something is true doesn't mean that it needs to be public, And I ask myself,
Correct.
right? And I ask myself a lot of times, is this mine to process privately? Or is this something that could help someone else feel less alone? And that's my purpose. I share things in a way where I don't share my personal business, my personal life, because that's my personal business.
Yeah.
I don't need to. But if it's something to help people, something to help moms,
yeah.
that's why I post the group, I post my podcast, anything to help. But I don't need to show my personal life to the world. And people can be very judgmental, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, my private life is for me to share with my family and my close friends. And to the public, if any way I can help, I will do that.
I think that's an amazing answer. Thank you so much, Nicole. And what is really, how do you, what is some advice to moms who feel like they're drowning in comparison or judgment, especially online, like you said? Like there's definitely judgment, right? So you have to be very careful. Mm-hmm. What is some advice that you could give people that are just kind of like, they just feel so insecure and they're always comparing themselves to others?
Yeah.
How do we not do that?
It's very normal, firstly, to feel that way. Many moms do end up opening up to me, telling me they feel that way. And so I would tell them to remember that comparison thrives where context is missing.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. And, you're comparing your hardest moments to someone else's highlight reel, because we live in a world, unfortunately,
it's all fake, let's be honest. I mean, it's like very curated, it's very like seasonal,
right?
It's not very like authentic, I
exactly
feel. Yeah.
And so it not everybody, there are some that do, but not everybody's going to post their hard times. We live in a world where we want people to say, oh, I want her life, wow, look at that, look at this. But they're not telling you that they cried in the shower 5 minutes ago. They're not telling you that they had a blow-up fight with their partner. And that's okay. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But when you find yourself comparing yourself to something you see online, remind yourself, take a step back and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And remind yourself that it's a highlight reel.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
No, and I think let's talk about a little bit about, community now. And you created Mom Dates and Playdates. What kind of connection were you craving? And again, now that everything is kind of unauthentic, especially with AI, and you don't really know what is real, what's fake, some crazy content now out there, right? Mm-hmm. I think community is more important than ever. Mm-hmm. So maybe you could talk a little bit about your community and tell us really what what are some of the highlights for you guys. And that's super, I feel like that is really where we're going, is micro communities like
yes, that. Super, super important. So for me, I was craving real connection, not surface level conversations like, oh, how old is your little one, which is nice. But I was looking for real friendships where if I opened up about, you know what, I felt really depressed yesterday, or I had a meltdown, a mom will say, I feel you. There's no judgment. It's a safe space to communicate, because many of us don't have that, and we need that. So when you meet someone who kind of goes through something that you've been through already, you connect in ways and you can share ideas, and that's something beautiful. And regarding Mom Dates and Playdates, I don't want to do a typical mom group, which is nothing wrong with people who do this, that just meet at playgrounds. I wanted the luxury. I wanted to give mom, mom should feel, pampered. Moms should feel like they still deserve to get shopping and get facials and go shopping. And that's why I'm trying to change that narrative. Yeah.
I love it. We can't
So they can have a closet like this.
We can't give those things up.
So for me, that was something very important to give to moms, and that's why I work so hard and collaborate and bring that to life for moms. Like, we had Nordstrom, we had an exclusive shopping experience.
That's so cool.
And, you know, the moms were drinking mimosas, and the whole store was closed. They had their, like, eye masks on. They had some goodies. They were just walking around. And at the end, a lot of them came to me, and they're like, Nicole, I needed this. Like, because I said it's only for moms, so everyone left their kids home. And they were like, I needed this. Like, my husband was with my kid, and they were with shopping bags. And I was like, yes! You shouldn't stop that.
Yeah, you need to do things for yourself to be happy.
Yes, exactly.
No, that's amazing. Well, now let's talk about your shoes. Let's take them off, or if you want to take one off and tell the story behind them.
Yeah, well, actually, this might be something different because I don't have a story behind them. What happened is...
Oh my God, those are so beautiful.
Yeah.
They're the Versace pump with like a bow.
Yes, and...
Gold.
And I was at the mall yesterday. And
so these are babies are new, huh?
They're brand new.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, I have many, many shoes, and I was like, should I wear one that I've worn before? But like, this actually does have a unique story because when I walked into the mall, it was packed yesterday. It was at Saks. And I saw two women sitting on the bench. And you can tell they were mother and daughter, which was very nice.
I always love that.
Right? Like shopping with mom.
Yeah.
And so they were like looking at shoes and kind of like deciding what to do. And the daughter was like telling her mom, like, no, you can't wear those. And she's like, why not? And I had to butt in it. And I was like, I just want to tell you guys, I love this. I have two sons, and seeing this relationship means a lot. And I kind of explained what I did. And so we kind of ended up shopping together.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and they ended up saying, like, this is my personality. And I was like, you know what? I'll always remember this. If you're watching this, I'll always think of you guys when I wear these shoes.
I love that story.
Yeah.
So there is a beautiful story.
There is. To many more.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Nicole. Let's do this or that.
All right.
Late night scroll or early morning journaling?
Early morning journaling. I love to journal. For me, it's been something part of my therapy journey, and it's helped me tremendously.
I hear that a lot. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Unfiltered podcast or polished post? I think I know the answers.
I think it's polished post.
Coffee for survival or matcha for vibes?
Matcha for vibes.
Love it. Mom group chat or solo walk with a podcast?
Oh, 100% mom group chat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oversized sunnies or comfy sneakers?
Oversized sunnies.
Plan the playdate or cancel for self-care?
This
Or
one was
both.
a hard one. Probably both, because if I feel like I'm overwhelmed, as long as it's not last minute, right? I would never do that to someone.
Absolutely.
But if I feel like I'm overwhelmed ahead of time, I'll say, listen, and I'll be honest. I'll say, I had a rough day, and I just don't feel like I'm mentally capable of meeting today. You know?
That's being honest. I think that's beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if that person on the other end gets upset, then I don't know if that's, you know, and it's okay to be upset, you're valid, but like, it's how you react. But like, for me, if someone did that to me, I would be very understanding. And I appreciate the honesty.
We're all busy, man.
Yeah, like we all have
kids,
lives.
of
Yeah.
course. Glammed up or yoga pants always? I think-
Glammed up.
Yes. Tell it all or keep it a little mystery.
Keep it a little mystery. I kind of like that.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for bringing your wisdom, wit, and wonderful energy to our Want Her Shoes community. And
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And to everyone listening, whether you are, you know, at home with your kids, or you are out there shopping, or you're launching communities, just remember that you always have to be yourself and carry yourself and bring your best shoes forward, right? Because it is always the foot that we put forward, and that's what people remember, right? Well, thank you so much, Nicole. So nice to have you. And you know Stephanie too, right?
I do, yes. We're actually doing a collab together too.
She's amazing.
She's so
such
nice.
and she grew so much as like just a person since I've met her. She's done so much. Yeah.
I love that
Yes,
so
of course.
much.
And I think you're gonna go for the pink.
I am. You know me so well already.
Yes, I think we're.
I love
oh my god!
vibrant colors.
Literally, I thought of like I'm like psychic with this stuff.
And I picked those instead.
Of course, yeah.
I did not see those. I love this. This is
Thank you so much.
stunning. This whole thing, I love it.
All right, so I'm going to take two, one for us and one for you.